Hello, everybody. Welcome to what will be the new COMiX News Wire. You can see that I get the quarantine beard here, but we are heading into the summer season. As a matter of fact, this is going to be a lot of pilot shows this week for the summer season. I'm actually starting at 3:30 today because we're not sure how this show will actually work out. So I wanted to come in early. As you guys can see behind me, there's even a new set we have going on for this season. Jax is with me. He's gotten some schoolwork done to the point where he has no more new schoolwork for the rest of the year. So while he's not on summer vacation just yet, he does not have any new work to do. He's done it all. His school year for new work is done. Of course, we'll continue his education throughout the summer. Before we roll the credits for this new show, I did want to make a statement, and it's an apology. For far too long, I have made what I do about creators. I know now how wrong that was. This has to be about you, our fans. So these shows that we're going to be doing outside of panels, which are general education for creators, are now geared towards you, the fans, as a way for you guys to enjoy the process of making comics, as a way to give you guys the information you need, and as a way for you guys to enjoy your fandom. We are gearing everything towards you. As most creators are actually fans of comics, of course, not counting those who are here just for Hollywood deals. Since they are fans of comics, they will appreciate this true focus on you, the fans. To all the fans watching, I am sorry it took me so long to put you first. That is a mistake I will never make again. Now let's get you the news you need to know about comics this week. And so let's start it off. Okay, so each week we're going to start off by showing you guys information about the comics that are crowdfunding. I figure we'll start every program off right away with the Kickstarters, the crowdfunding that's about to end. We call it Last Rights and Last Looks. So, of course, these are the writing materials that are crowdfunding. So, and this is a throwback to Written Sins. You'll notice this is brought to you by Written Sins Comics. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be having different organizations within the Advocating Network, which you can find at advocatingnetwork.space. Space is like .com. You can find that right now, everyone who's involved in it. But instead, we're going to play some cool stuff for you. This is Johnny Phantasm, 1977, and we'll let that zoom in.
Yeah, right.
All right, so that's only going to be available for you guys until the 26th. And we have the Zombiful World of Oz. I wish I could play this video, but we got notified that there's a copyright music possibly going on with that. So because of that, we're not able to give you anything more than the title, The Zombieful World of Oz. Number 2, No Rest for the Wicked. The Zombieful World of Oz returns with issue number 2. The steampunk horror fantasy adventure returns. And check that out on Kickstarter today. Elysian Fields, number 0. Michael Odin's project. Check it out. I am a backer.
Hey there, welcome to the Elysian Fields crowdfunding campaign. Thanks for giving us a check out. Elysian Fields started off as just a game between friends. Nerdy kids debating which mythic heroes would win and pitted against each other. Over the years, as things grew, this became a concept I fixated on, knowing the potential that it could have as a story. Now it's a living, breathing thing, and for it to succeed, I need you. So come check out our Indiegogo campaign and see what you can do to bring Elysian Fields issue 0 to print and beyond. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's on Indiegogo until May 30th. Jaxie is trying to get in on the program. Everyone wants to be a superstar. John Crowther gives us through it. I believe it's Inverse Press, the comic book encyclopedia for pro wrestling, and that's going to be going on until the 31st. Check this out.
It's an encyclopedia of pro wrestling in comic book style. It's the comic book encyclopedia of pro wrestling. 280 pages of true stories of 10 legendary pro wrestlers, plus original encyclopedia entries featuring these superstars and their allies and enemies. There's never been a collection of wrestling stories and articles like this. Just the facts, collected from the wrestlers' own accounts of their careers and exploits, and those of their partners, opponents, and colleagues, all in combination with our own research. Each article is a comprehensive snapshot of the life and accomplishments of a timeless wrestling personality, some at a particular point in their career, some spanning their entire careers. Volume 1 of the Comic Book Encyclopedia of Pro Wrestling includes full-length comic stories from Bruno Sammartino, Nikolai Volkov, The Genius Lanny Poffo, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, B. Brian Blair of the Killer Bees, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell of the Killer Bees, Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express, Bobby Fulton of the Fantastics, Sunny the California Girl from Glow, and Jake Hager, also known as Jack Swagger. For every $1,000 raised above our initial funding goal, we will add one additional full-page encyclopedia entry, up to a maximum of 20 additional pages. Check out our rewards for unique and autographed wrestling memorabilia in addition to the encyclopedia book itself. Our campaign to fund printing and distribution of this book ends on May 31st, so don't delay. Get your pledge in today and help us make comics. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I walked back over to my table to do something, and everything went crazy for a second. We do have some cool other stuff going on. We do want to get to our last Kickstarter. I believe this is Kickstarter. Yes, Kickstarter Rise. This is a 7-minute video of someone talking, so we're not even going to bother playing it for you guys. I'm just going to give it the shout it deserves. Rise issue 1 and 2. This is a beat cop shot in the line of duty is given supernatural ring of light by God to defeat the darkness that plagues the city. Noticed a lot of religious books on Kickstarter lately. And we're going to be bringing on some people to talk to you guys. We're a little early for it, but I'll bring them in as guests. We first off have Demon Phil. Let me get out of this screen for a second. Hey, Demon Phil. And we have ICU News own. What's going on? Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys. And we have an important thing with the ICU News we're going to be doing. So, Demon Phil, you start off. Tell them who you are.
Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey. You can find me on Facebook, Comics and More New Jersey, YouTube, Comics and More New Jersey, and please find me on YouTube. I am only like 50 followers away from the 1,000 milestone. I am definitely looking forward to that. But do book reviews, do comic interviews, and marketing for crowdfunding.
All right. And ICU News. Tell them who you are and where you can be found.
Well, I'm Paul Ruff, and I have a YouTube channel called Independent Indie Creators Unite, trying to get the readers and writers and artists all together to enjoy what everybody does.
Now you're here. We're a little early, but if you don't care, why don't you go ahead and tell them what you came here to tell everybody?
Okay. I have 3 shows I do on my channel. One is about my writing, where I talk about what I write and stuff. Then I have the ICU News, which is where I talk about independent authors, artists, comic creators, and what Kickstarters is about ready to end up, almost like what you're doing, Rob. And then I have the Independent Corner, where I showcase a single author and their works.
Now, we wanted to extend you an invitation to this because we wanted to also promote indie creators who don't create comics but are creating indie books, like literal, pages, front cover, and all that stuff. So who do you have for us this week that we could be paying attention to? What are your shows covering? Tell us what we're missing out on.
Well, the Independent Corner that went up yesterday showcased Charles F. Millhouse's Captain Hawkland series, which is a good series. It's already up to 7 books, and I think he's going to go up to 10 altogether. I did have let's see. I showed Spencer Spook from Brian K. Morse on one of the independent corners. But right now, I would say, if you haven't heard of Pennywise, which is an independent author, this is Raw Ice, and this was a great read. He put himself into almost like a hardened situation in Washington, D.C., and that is worth the read. Another one that I just haven't read yet is Handicap's Condemned Courier. I'm looking forward to reading this one. Say to keep an eye out on this week.
Very cool, very cool. I thank you for coming on. This is going to be a weekly thing. We'll also have something from Brian K. Morris every week. This man, Paul, is going to help us stay in knowing what we should be reading on the indie market. So I thank you for coming on the show today, and look forward to getting a report from you weekly.
I'm glad you had me.
And I love the art behind you on the wall. Awesome art.
Mhm.
Well, most of it came from you.
Oh, stop. There's some Chris
I'm trying to fill that up with independent art.
I appreciate that. All right, my friend, I'm going to let you go. I know you're a busy man. Where can they follow you on the YouTube group? YouTube channel?
It's called Indie Creators Unite.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We'll talk to you next week at the same time. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, man. All right. So we're going to bring on so here's something cool. Phil is going to be talking to us. We do have 2 people in the back. I'll bring them on early. They can introduce themselves. Phil's here for a special reason. So is Meredith. Let's go around the room. We'll start with Josh. Josh is going to be a panelist on the news, where we're going to talk about all the topics to news. Everyone is welcome to join us, of course. But we wanted to just give a little bit of time to indie authors because, if we're being honest, they're like extended family to indie comic creators. They really are. You know, they're part of us. We see each other at the show, so we wanted to do that. And Brian K. Morris will be having content in the future. But Josh, tell them who you are.
Hey guys, my name is Josh Lyman. I've been a professional illustrator in comic books for at least the last decade full time. Not to mention, of course, been on the comic book circuit and working between indie comics and major publishers and minor publishers and whatnot. And I'm kind of just here to fill the verbal void and put my 2 cents in and some cool things that I found out about this year. Well, for this week at least, and so on and so forth. So let's have a good time.
Hey, everybody. I'm oh my God. I swear to God, he said 3, I thought 4, and I'm like here at 350. So I have no idea. I'm all screwed up. Hi, I'm Meredith Loughran. I am the comic noob for the Comic Book Advocates Network, and I am sharing my journey as a newbie who is middle-aged, who is starting something new. And this is to go from knowing nothing or practically nothing to hopefully developing a comic book by the end, not the end of the year, but the end of my year, which was maybe about 2 weeks ago. So I'm giving myself a deadline. Every week I'm having a panel or a discussion or a one-on-one that is kind of logging the journey, hopefully in chronological order so that it makes sense to people who listen to the replay. And, it's evergreen material. So anybody can refer to it later on and, just say, hey, you know what? This is something that I've always wanted to do. How do I start? So that's me. I also contribute to Geek Insider and Wild One Forever. And we have a couple of other podcasts, but that's for another show. Back to you, Rob.
Now, there is a little bit of confusion over this. This show does technically, the panel part of it starts at 4 p.m. We're going to have Paul come in at 4. He'll do his thing. And then from 4:10 to whatever time, usually 5:30 is the latest we'll go, we'll talk about news. So this earlier part will be for interviews, will be for the last rights. So this is deliberately so it doesn't interfere with the news, because we want to give an hour to the news and we want to have that panel program. Now, speaking of some news that we do want to cover just this week, because it is breaking and we're going to go ahead and show it. And this is why Demon Phil and Meredith the Noob are here, because we're talking about the summer edition of our schedule. Every season, for those who have been around for the last 4 years, know that I change shows per season. What works is continued, improved. What didn't work gets canceled. Sometimes we try to bring it back. Right now, this is going to be our new lineup. Of course, I'm stepping back from every day at 4 p.m. because things are starting to reach, what would you guys call it? A new normal? A quasi-normal? A semi-normal? It's definitely a restart. We're seeing a restart to everything. So it was time to move on. So on Mondays, we'll have Comic Nuts and Bolts with Luke Stone. The Comics Newswire is going to be hosted by me. And if Luke can show up, he'll show up. If Brian K. Morris can show up, we're going to show up. But I would like to have, and I talked to Josh about this, I would like Josh to be a reoccurring panelist. I want Josh to be someone who shows up every week. And so far, he's been okay with the idea. We'll see. He might get tired of the news at one point. Or heaven forbid, shows start again. We might get busy. How horrible would that be if there were Comic-Cons again and we had to do things? Horrible, right, Josh?
Yeah, it'd be awful. Just be utterly terrible. Yeah.
So horrible. Kickstarter Pause is now going to alternate with the 7 reasons. So instead of having Kickstarter Pause every week, we're going to do Kickstarter Pause, 7 reasons. Kickstarter Pause, 7 reasons. And if for some reason we don't have enough people for 7 reasons, he is so loud today, that crazy baby. We will just have a Kickstarter Pause. So this takes the pressure off of that show. We'll have guest host Chuck for that. Guest judge, Chuck, who's the permanent guest judge. But we might have other guest judges that week. To be announced, Demon Phil, do you have an update on that yet?
I am working on it. I've got a couple of ideas. We're just trying to make sure they mesh with trademarks and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm still working on the name. The show is going to be basically just shooting from the hip, casual. I'll bring in different people in. I'll have different topics that we'll discuss. It's going to be basically like my show has been on my channel for the longest time, where as long as it doesn't run over any of the main rules, no politics, no religion, no drama, and no negativity. As long as any of those are adhered to and everything, I can have all kinds of fun with it. And yeah, I've got a lot of content we can discuss, and several people that are interested and already wanting to get involved.
Oh, very, very cool. I look forward to it. We have the comic noob. She can explain it best. Meredith, tell them about it.
Well, like in the introduction, I am the comic noob, and being middle-aged and starting something new, it's kind of exciting because I ask myself, when's the last time I did something for the first time? And this is kind of it. It's taking some of my experience from what I've done in publishing, in writing, and trying to put it all together and create a comic book, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but life happens, and here I am starting on this new journey again. And I just, the messaging is out there that you're never too old to learn something new if you have the desire and the capacity to learn. So I am sharing the journey. I'm asking questions. We're going to have some great panels. We have, one-on-one interviews that I'd like to do. And it's going to be basic 101. So, this Friday, we're going to have how to find the right artist for your story and vice versa. And, I've got about 2 or 3 more guests that I need to confirm with, or, they have the right of first refusal. And then the following week is going to be basically the lingo, the terminology that you should know, some of the things that you should be familiar with when you're talking about comic books. So it's going to be a learning process that I'm sharing. And a lot of people who are in the industry now that I'm talking to, they've been doing it for years. So it's really nice to have that mentorship. And, they're kind of in that teacher mentor role, which is really exciting. And I appreciate everybody who sits with me on these panels because, they really don't have to. And I think that speaks volumes about the community that is within the comic books, even though I understand that it is quite an industry and that, we're all trying to develop something and bring our own characters to life. You're on mute, Rob.
Yeah, I was saying that sounds exciting, but this is only our 4 p.m. block. We're actually going to bring someone in who we are teamed up with through the Advocating Network, the one, the only, the kid, Varian Grant. And he's going to tell you about the programming happening not at 4 p.m., going through the Indie Vault at the 9 o'clock. So he's got a lot of great shows. Varian, you there, right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, tell him about the programming you guys got. I was going to actually have to do it without you, and you being here makes it awesome because you can explain the shows better than me.
Yeah,
you don't know because he's going to be too proud. This is the guy who kicks the gates open for all creators.
I'm coming to you live from the sofa, so I got at 9 o'clock we do Indie Old Live every Tuesday night, Eastern Standard Time, which is usually myself, Randy Zimmerman, and a few others. And the thing is, recently, because some health setbacks, I've had to, loosen my grip on the reins a bit. And Rob and a lot of others, Josh, Eric, have stepped up to fill that spot, and help keep the show afloat. Especially Randy. As a matter of fact, Randy started some shows without me, which I'm grateful for because that was important. And Trackway even filled in too, so that was good. But every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock p.m., we have Indie Vote Live, which actually goes out on Indie Vote Radio to our listeners, and we've been averaging about 20,000 listeners on Indie Vote Radio, pretty much per show, which is exciting, and we're really proud of that. Then Wednesday night at 9 is Geekgasm, which is Lola's show, which is comics and comics from a female's point of view. She co-hosts that with Stephanie Menard. Thursday morning at 9 a.m. We love our 9s. 9 a.m. is Indie Book Breakfast Buzz, which is where me and Randy take about 2 hours to apologize for what we said Tuesday night. And then we have The Art of War, which we haven't had for 2 weeks now, but I'm hoping we can return to that Friday night at 9, where we have an artist square off on a project or a drawing. They don't know what it is, Only I know what it is, and I'll let you guys on a little secret. Sometimes I don't even know what it is until about 10 minutes before the show starts. So the watch the artists frantically draw it, and they have an hour and a half to get it done. And whoever wins, they win something. So that's what we do over on Indie Vault. And Rob, we got a couple of things we're doing tonight. We're going to be naming. We're going to be unveiling which who won what name won the Name Our New Mascot contest.
You can honestly just tell people now. It's fine. I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, I don't. I think we said it. We were going to do it. The polls close at 8, but right now Vicky Volt is leading. So it looks like our mascot
for alliteration.
yeah. It looks like our mascot's going to be named Vicky Volt, which no problem with. I think it's a cute name. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so that's what's leading right now. I don't have it up to go look and see. But I think at last point it was like 76%. It was leading, so that's pretty. That's a pretty nice margin. Yeah, let's see here. 79%, 23 votes is Vicky Volt. I personally was fond of AC, but because get it, Indie Volt AC. I thought it was funny. Her name could have been Aubrey Current.
No.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't. I'm Vicky Volt. I mean, double V's. Who doesn't like double V's?
The double V.
The double V. It's
not
just
the double V, right?
I do want to say that, Varian, this is a huge upgrade for you with the way you look on the show. You're so cute and adorable right now.
Thank you. You can see I've lost a lot of weight.
It's a new cap. It's a new design. Those have to go on sale at Last Call Comics. And introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are. You actually didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, dear God. I'm Varian Grant. Been publishing comics since 2008. First book I ever did was a black and white interior action comedy called Psycho Sirens. Created that book, and I'm still proud of it. Actually, I just got a chance to read it a couple days ago. I'm also the founder of Indie Volt Media LLC, and I've had a lot of help building that company up. There were so many people, helped. Matter of fact, Josh designed really cool badges for Indie Volt that gave us some legitimacy, better than the ones that I had designed. So, it's a
bad habit of doing graphics when I should be drawing.
So yeah, it's been a tremendous effort. I sound like the president, don't I? It's great. Josh is great. He's tremendous.
Everything's fantastic. Everything's good.
I was just like, Shaq would be the greatest if he just had some sort of drive or energy.
So I just, we cover indie comics, and we got some exciting things coming to the platform very soon. Some changes that I'm excited about as soon as I can get off the sofa.
It's super exciting what Indie Volt's doing. Of course, we're teamed up through the network, so we will be actually checking your site on this show in the future for stories. Cool. We'll be making sure to check out your site as well to make sure we're not missing any of the stories, and also by default promoting what Indie Volt does because they're doing great stuff. And that's really what this is. This show at the beginning, who missed it, this is all about you guys, the fans. So it's about bringing you the best content we can week in and week out. And that's why we're doing things so differently from here on in. We're not focusing on creators. We're focusing on you guys. Something Indie Volt's been doing for a very long time with getting numbers of up to 20,000 plus people listening on their Indie Volt radio. So join the Volt. Get electrified by what Indie Volt's doing.
It costs me server money. It's fine.
Me and Randy do. We say things to try to get more people to show up. I can hear a crazy kid in the background. So let's get to some news, guys. All right. So, and some of this will be talked about tonight. You guys
are at the 30-minute marker. All right, cool.
Well, we're really only 4 minutes in from the news, if you think about it, because we started 4. So we're right in there. We're
dun, dun, dun.
We got the intros in. We're actually doing okay. Of course, this is brought to you by the Comic Book Advocates Network on Facebook, where we changed, and this will be something I'm talking about tonight on Indie Volt. How dare I change the spelling of indie? We'll find out more about that tonight on Indie Volt. We also are helping to name the new Indie Vault mascot. Get an education and read these books. This is going to be a good list of books for you to read. If you guys think there's a book we are missing, let us know. We will add it in. A shift in advocating. Now, this is something I want to. This is the first news thing we're actually going to talk about, guys. What do you guys think? I have now declared that to be covered on Comic Book Advocates network on the main site, comicbookadvocates.com, you have to give us a press release. I did this because I was tired of creators giving a piece of art and being like, this is new. Advocate for me. I'm tired of it. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that creators need to stop being lazy and learn how to do a press release?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to call on anybody, but
Well,
I got stuff to say about it.
Let's start with
Go ahead.
Josh.
No, just let Meredith go ahead.
Oh, no. I want Josh, you to start everything because you're the official panelist for every week.
Oh, okay.
So you start the conversation after I
I was
give
going to get my bouting balls, start doing some hand therapy.
Well,
But
you play with your balls as soon as you start.
look, man. Look, don't judge. They're bigger than normal. I can't help it. So, anyways, in regards to having a press release, I really do think this is something that artists, writers, publishers all need to have for their book. I've actually attempted to try to get multiple panelists onto Indie Vault, and not a single one of them. I set up my own gatekeeping of going, hey, I need this. And it's a terrible term, unfortunately, because we give it such a negative connotation, but it's like a very, very simple thing. Here's what I need. I need 2 to 4 pages of your sequentials if you're plugging a book. I need the quick story of what your book is and when it's due or when it's going on crowdfunding. And that's all I need, or if it's already in publication, where we can find it. And not a single person that I have reached out to has given that to me. And so not a single person has been pushed on to Varian, like, here, check this person out. The only person who came close to it was Johnny Segura. And he and we have a working relationship for a while. So when I went, hey man, I need all of your covers. Let me just show you that, because that in itself, you've done that many books. It's going to set a precedent that you've self-published all of these through crowdfunding. Mm-hmm. And it was the only exception to the rule. And we ended up showing pages of his sequentials through the crowdfund promotions. But as far as like plugging and promoting, it should be basic. If you're self-publishing or trying to get somebody else to publish, you really should go, here you go. Yeah. Here's the quick biopic of what I'm trying to promote. It's not just here's the pretty one piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
And Meredith, you said you had something to add. We'll go Meredith, and then we'll go Varian and Phil, because I can't see Varian, so I got to step him up. Go play your balls, Josh. So go ahead, Meredith, and then we'll go to Varian.
Okay. I feel very strongly about this, that everybody, if you are a content creator and you're putting something out into the universe, that you should know how to write a press release at the very least. And now some people may not know what a press release is, and that's fine. But as long as you have the basic content of have a featured image, whether it's your book or whether it's an associated image, illustration, picture, it doesn't matter. Have something of a byline. So that would be your elevator pitch. And, know what the hell you're talking about. Because here's the thing. When you are on social media, just as an example, when you're on Instagram, that's fine. That platform is conducive to images, and that's all you have to do. But you know what? You can scroll really, really quickly through it, and you can hit the like button if you want to. But once you see it, that's it. They've shot their load. All right. If you want a little bit more in depth, and if you want to have a following, like a true following, an organic one, that they can actually advocate for you, they need to know about you. So you need to write something about your product, something about yourself that makes you endearing to them and makes you memorable. So if you're not doing that, then I'm sorry. I think you're being a fucking lazy ass. All right. If you don't have the time to do that for your customers and your clients or your fans, why should they give you the time of day?
This program is brought to you by Potty Mouths.
I was like, are you having an okay day? Somebody
Don't hold back. Don't hold back, Meredith.
I wasn't holding back. God damn.
Well, Christy, Speaking of going fist deep, someone who's used to that, Varian, what do you think?
I agree with Meredith. You have to learn how to do a press release. There are so many sites that will show you. There are sites that will charge you. There are people that will write them for you. I mean, look, you can go on Fiverr and someone will write your press release for about $6-7 if you just don't want to do it. I think that's a waste of money. I think that you could look at anyone's press release and pretty much, get the feel of how it should be done and do a press release. The thing is, when you have an outlet like Josh said with Johnny's been a guy who has not only did Josh vet him first, and I don't even want to use the word gatekeeping. I like to use the word vetting. That Josh vetted him first, and he's been a really good guest, and he's actually come on a few times, like with little to no notice. Hey, Johnny, we got a spot. Could you fill it? And he's been game to come on. That's the type of thing you want. That's the type of person you want on your shows, type of panelists, instead of someone who's going to sit there and just, give you dead air. And then again, with writing press releases, I mean, like, you're willing to run them. Rob, and everyone who runs one of these, a site that's focused on indie comics, we're willing to run those press releases. And I have seen, but I guess we don't matter to some people. He just runs an indie network site. But if they'll send it to who is it? Bleeding Cool and Comic Book Resources, not get any type of traction. But they still patron those sites and they still push those sites because I guess that's the industry standard, which is sad. But I won't go. That's the topic for another discussion.
I hear you, Varian.
Rob, I think you're muted again.
Yeah, Jax. That is a very good point, though. A lot of these creators, and I said this today, and I'll say it again, and it's not meant to hurt anyone's feelings, but it's just the truth. And I actually have it up. For 4 years, I made it about the creators, but now I see I see it for what it is, and it has to be about the fans. Too many creators are full of shit and blame everything on anything, letting everything get in their way. But the real truth is, fans fuel everything. There needs to be a focus on that, and on that, not egos. And it's very true what Varian said. Creators always have their nose up at doing their work, but expect Marvel to come beg them to work for them or beg the fans to back their projects. And sometimes you get these, and I call them Kickstarter famous. They have a Kickstarter, they get a few $1,000s, and they think they reinvented the world and that they're the best thing ever. And it's just a sad, sad moment with that. What do you think, Demon Phil?
So in my line, since I'm actually a little bit different on what I do, because I actually do the promoting, the marketing and consulting for some of the crowdfunding projects, I do have quite a few people that will go ahead and just shoot something in my message, and they'll be like, "Hey, can you go ahead and help me out with this?" I'll be like, "So what is this? I mean, what exactly am I doing with this? What's your goal here?" And whenever I start talking to them, they're like that, I immediately get I guess you're just too busy. No, it's not that I'm too busy. It's just I need a little more. If I'm going to stick my neck out and my brand out on this and try to promote you on this, I need to know what I'm getting involved in. I always do my research in everything I get, involved in. Now, I will say, and I'm going to publicly say this out here, is I haven't done my own as of yet. And I'm learning right now that with the more that people actually want me to do book reviews and interviews and things more. So I'm actually having to create my own on my end. And it is something very important to have because it does help people actually put faith and a foundation into what you're doing. If you come at them kind of blindsided and say, "Hey, I would love to go ahead and get you on as an interview," the first thing they always say is, "Well, what do you do? What's going on with this? Are you political? Are you, do you put me on the spot? Is there, chairs being thrown in a Geraldo type moment here? What's going on?" And I've got to explain all that. If I have the letter ready, it kind of makes it a little bit easier and it eases them. So definitely having the intent out front is something you definitely want to have available for anybody.
And that makes a lot of sense. And all right, let's move on to our next talking point for today in our news program. And I'm going to try to get Brian K. Morris on here because he seems very animated right now in the chat room. So let's go ahead and take a look at our screen share to see what our next thing up in here is. Oh, 4 years. That's right. We celebrated 4 years last week, and we're talking about being a parent. Now, none of those topics are necessary. What's necessary for us to talk about is your news. And if you want your news covered, send us a press release at Advocate for Indie, INDEE. That's right. Spell it right. Oh, that's going to piss so many people off, Barry, and you're going to have guests for weeks. So we'll be talking about that on Indie Vault tonight.
Yeah, we will.
We will. Topics of interest. So this is something I think is going to be cool. So this is topics of interest circulating the creative collective. So this is going to be what we're seeing, what Josh is seeing, what Phil is seeing, what Meredith, Brian, and Varian are seeing, and we're going to be talking about. So we're going to start off with something that's causing a bit of a controversy, charging to be on a show. Now, before anyone assumes they know who I'm talking about, understand there are several people now doing this, whether it be to be a guest on a show, which one person, and I'll throw out the name because I'm not trying to hide anything, Michael Watson now will charge you to be on a show through his Patreon, but he'll let you take his art of your character with you on the other side of it. So that's kind of cool. Other people are charging you to be on cons, these online cons where they're promising you the world and very few are delivering. And then there are people just charging now to interview you about your comic book. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. What do you think about this world of pay for play?
I want to throw this out there real quick. When just in case anyone ever digs it up, but very early on, Indie Vote started as a podcast. Very, very early on. And the co-host at the time with me, I found out that the young lady, because we were getting a lot of music guests. We weren't getting a lot of comic book guys, which, kind of upset me. But it was a lot of music. But she was very attached and involved in the independent music, especially hip-hop culture. And so we're getting a lot of young rappers will come out to the studio where we recorded it. And I actually had one, he got really upset with me because he sent me an email and he's like, hey man, we're in the, F is, our download link to our interview on your podcast. I haven't got it. And I'm like, well, we normally don't give that out, like the raw, data. And he's like, well, I paid for it. And I contacted her and I'm like, hey, what's, and I started telling a little bit of the story last week, Rob, but 2 weeks ago, but I cut it. But I contacted her and I'm like, hey, are you taking money from people? And she's like, oh yeah, why not? We're not just going to interview you guys for free. We have to make money. And I'm like, well, she didn't give me any of the money. She was pocketing it herself.
Varian's like, wait a minute. Why aren't I getting money?
And
you're fired.
She charged those guys $75.
Oh,
$75. So yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of bad. Gosh, I don't do it, but who knows? I mean, it might be okay for some other people.
Josh?
I don't know. It's kind of a mixed world that we live in right now. There are a lot of promoters as well as a lot of artists that are trying to survive in the current climate, and they haven't quite figured out how to adapt. They don't have the right audience because their audience has always been at events, or they're used to being that focus. And this is only for the devil's advocate part of it, but where I can understand that. But at the same time, unless there are actual costs as far as like for streaming service or for the actual service itself, then hey, unless there's something that's actually being provided, I don't think that there should be a fee. For example, like if you're doing ad revenue on a website, you're paying 11 cents, a week or something like that, and it lasts for 4 weeks, $1 or $2 or whatever have you, then it's applicable. But when it comes down to an hour of content among billions upon billions of hours of media that are available through YouTube or any other form of streaming service, and that's not really worth it. You're dedicating your time to provide entertainment, not to mention you might be providing actual creative content if you're working on that panel.
Yeah. Meredith, are you charging over at Geek Insider after this program?
No, none of our podcasts have a fee to it. Our Geek Out Virtual Con, we didn't have any fees to it. And in fact, if the door prizes that we had, those were donated. Some of them from sponsors who actually pay to have advertising on our website, which has nothing really to do with the podcast itself. We're just branching out into a new medium. And, we've got another event that we're planning on for July, and we're not planning on asking for any kind of money to participate. I think that's ridiculous because, like Josh said, there are so many things out there that can take our attention that are free that it seems ridiculous to do that. For me, honestly, with the networking and stuff, I would never in my life even consider saying, hey, Varian, I want to put IndieVolt on my website. It's going to be X amount of dollars just for placement and stuff like that. The idea here for me is that we're networking because we're all trying to share an audience, and from that audience, maybe that 1 or 2 degrees of separation is where we get the audience that can pay. And so I don't mind having a tip jar or a link to my PayPal me on my site, because if you are following me and you find value in my content because we are networking and things, then by all means, that's voluntary, but I'm not going to charge. I mean, who the hell am I,
Demon Phil, is the demon charging for appearances now, or are you guys paid by the hour?
Well, I was waiting to get your credit card number after the show because you're going to be the first one I have to go ahead and make sure it works, just to see. No, I'm not charging.
Demon Phil for some reason.
Then he's back. He's like, I'm not charging. And he said, credit card, pull him.
This is why I need money on the show. I keep losing my own self off of my show. I need money quick. No, as far as I'm concerned, the main thing is there's a difference in there. There's the shows, there's the Patreons, there's different things that are going on. You brought up about Mike Watson. And yes, I agree and he does have the value to it. So if you do go ahead and pay for it, you get the value. The difference being is you have to be crystal clear on what you're paying for. And a lot of these places that are charging, they're not giving a guarantee. They're not saying, hey, if you come on the show, we guarantee that you're going to, sell 5 pieces of art, or you're going to get another 200 followers on your channel, or, your group's going to grow by so much. There are no guarantees. They're just saying you're under our banner, and we want to go ahead and bring you out here and show you off a little bit and, get the little dance and song thing going on. And if you do great, that's great on you. If you don't, we still get paid. That's not cool. You've got to have some kind of an agreement on there. You can't guarantee, of course, what anybody's going to do. But if you're going to have them on there, you need to make it crystal clear that you may not make any money off of this. If they're crystal clear on that, then that may be something you could kind of look at with that. But no, as far as, especially nowadays with the current situation and everything that's going on, and we haven't fully reopened everything just yet. Right now, why aren't we working together to go ahead and strengthen what the independent organization is altogether and build everything up and build everyone else up, instead of still going ahead and trying to create these cliques over to the side in different areas just because people have a little bit of money? That makes no sense to me, because whenever the smoke clears from all this, who's going to have money on all of this? Maybe not. The people that actually charge, are you going to still have your money? There are different things going on. But if you've got the contacts and the networking and the colleagues that you put together on all this, I'm pleased. I would take that over money any day.
All right. All right. So our next topic, it's caused a lot of controversy over the last couple weeks, and I honestly don't know where it came from. It just came out of nowhere, and it's been a debate that's happened a long time. What's in a page count? Now, Here's the deal. People argue about comic book page counts. For the record, Marvel counts the cover, DC counts the cover, Amazon, and at one point Diamond did. I don't know if they're doing it or not. I need a physical copy. If anyone has a physical copy of Diamond Previews, please look up their page counts. I believe they are counting covers. I think they are counting covers. Now, I don't care. There's argument left and right. I don't care as much about what we decide on as a community or as more importantly an industry, and use this as an industry standard. No, not gatekeeping. Every industry has standards. All I care is that we all have the same language, and that language has to be easy for the consumer to understand. And that's why I think Marvel and DC went with counting the page count as they're bigger. Just overall, the cover counts because it's one of the pages. So when they're flipping, it counts because they don't want to stop and go, well, our story's 18 pages, but this is a 32-page comic. But you're really just a 28-page comic because it's a cover. Oh, what do you mean by cover? Well, there's an inside and outside. We put ads in the blah, 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 blah. Consumers don't want to hear that. They want to hear one standard practice. Josh, am I right? Am I wrong? Let's go around the room.
I think the actual page count, as far as like when they're advertising for it, is 100% an upsale situation. Because there's been, for the last 2 decades at least, more and more people complaining about the price of comics increasing, without also acknowledging that the price of printing, as well as the quality of printing, has gone up steadily as well. Now, there are always going to be exceptions to the rule when someone's trying to charge, $120 for 6 variants of one particular issue. But it becomes its own issue when you're just trying, pun intended, when you're trying to promote or plug a book. You're like, how many pages is it? When you're seeing myriads of other books listed, if you got $3.99 plus shipping and handling, and you got to choose which one of these books that you're buying as a third party versus as a comic book shop or any kind of larger distributor, you're probably going to choose the one that if you've never heard of either title or 20 titles, you're going to probably go with the one that has the most bang for your buck. So if it's like 26 pages, only one variant, 1 in 12, so on and so forth, they're all upsales. So as far as my perspective on it, I just assume 24 pages if it's anything that's not a kid's book. 24 pages and up. And that's why I just assume, and that's when people ask me what my rates are for comic books, that's the first thing I rate them at. I go, this is a base 24-page rate. That doesn't include your cover, and that doesn't include this. Because that's the other thing I think that I haven't really been paying attention to the debate, because I don't like having my phone notify me every single time somebody comments on something. But it's one of those things where, for me, from the artist perspective, it comes down to is how much work am I doing, not how many pages are going to be produced for the reader. I'm just looking at how much work I have to do and what my deadline is. So I don't know, just kind of a third-party view. That's all I have on that.
And before I pass this on to Varian, words of wisdom from Carl Witzman. He says, it's amazing how that someone would write a whole comic or even a novel, but then balk at writing a press release. How true is that? Varian, so what do you think? Am I crazy? Should a cover count? Should we have an industry standard? What's in a page count?
The thing about page counts is like, as far as numbering the book inside, I've never, I always started the actual story being page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I tend to tell people I don't count the cover. I just don't. The printer counts it when they charge me. But,
this is an important distinction. If you're not counting the cover, does that mean you're now eliminating all 4 pages that make the cover up?
I mean, I guess I am. I don't have a. Here's the problem. I'm kind of like Josh, and I'm not following the debate because I guess I made my mind up. Like, there's no story content on the cover. I start counting where the story is and where the story ends.
So you don't count your ads. You don't count anything but the story when you tell someone how big your comic book is. And is it just me getting asked how big my comic is? Because people ask me all the time in Florida, and it might be a market thing, how many pages my book is. Is that?
Well, I also think that when people ask you how big your comic is, that could be code for something else. And you should probably
it could be a euphemism.
yeah.
It's standard size, but it's got a lot of content.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You gotta sell it the right way.
It's got girth, the book.
But I do get mad too. And now I said what I've said, my standard, but I do get upset when someone tells me, hey, I've got a 45 page book and it's $15-20. And I'm like, okay, well, 45 pages, I'll give you $20. And the book shows up in the mail and it's 15-16 pages of story, and the rest is some art and maybe some character designs and a bunch of other stuff that's it's like just a fan art. Oh my gosh, the fan art. Hey, my buddy on Facebook drew these 2 horrible pictures. I'm gonna put them in here to pad the book. That's upsetting, but I don't think that's probably why I don't count it. I don't count.
Oh, Varian, those rebels in their comics.
Yeah.
Meredith, what do you think?
I come from a newspaper background, so I'm looking at this as objectively as possible. Now, my background was in pagination, layout, and design. So with that being said, if we had a 24-page newspaper, it was all of the pages, all the covers, all of the content, and it didn't matter what was inside. It could be news, it could be ads, it could be legal notices, whatever it was. So I think that there needs to be a distinction between the paginator and your printer as far as page count. But when it comes to your readers, your writers, and your artists, as far as content goes, I think you can have 2 numbers in the comic book industry, because if your reader is coming in and wants to know how many pages in the story and they're making that flash judgment on whether or not they're going to spend the money on it, then I think it's fair to give them both numbers, because I think these days it's important that if we're going to try and stay afloat or make a little extra money, we're going to sell some ad space. Like in the newspapers, front cover was, like your breaking news. Back cover was sports, because that's the thing that sold. That's the thing that brought a lot of people to buy it. And your inside, your splash page, if you will, that centerfold, if you will, that was big money advertising. So, I mean, I can understand if comic books aren't counting that, because it's not content. It's not content as far as storytelling. And I think that it's fair, again, to have those 2 distinct numbers so that people know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah. And I definitely agree that there's always going to be the production side of it for amounts that are going to matter. Because, like, hey, a 24-page book is going to cost way less than a 32-page book, especially if you're ordering 1,000 or 2,000 or 100 or 50. It's definitely going to affect how many clicks go through those printers.
All right.
I appreciate that perspective.
Demon Phil, do you have anything to add, or should we move on to the next one?
I mean, from a fan's perspective, it's all about, am I getting my value? Because if I go and I back a Kickstarter or something like that, or crowdfunding of any kind, and it says that it's, 24 pages, 30 pages, however many pages in there, and I get the thing, and especially whenever it has the fan art and the stuff like that, that was not, like if it tells me ahead of time it's going to be in there, that's something I'm expecting. But whenever I get the book and I'm like, there's 12 pages of story in here, and the rest of this, you just padded the rest of this. That irritates me to no end, because I no longer have a value to that thing. It could have been like a $10 book at that point, as far as I'm concerned. I back only because I believe in the project. So if I believe in the project that much and then you let me down afterwards, that's not good, because then you've lost somebody who could have been a lifetime fan with that.
No, that's a good point.
And,
all right.
And I do want to add one more thing about, I know Varian said that he doesn't count the cover. I personally would, because that's usually the first thing that I would see. And I actually bought a comic book because the cover was beautiful. And when I got it, the story was crap. The story was crap. The inside art was terrible. The only thing that got me was the cover, and I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do with this piece of crap? Except maybe put it up on my wall, because it's pretty. But it didn't bring me any value. And I was disappointed because it was an online purchase and I didn't have a chance to see it beforehand. So I would definitely consider counting that first cover, even though it might not have words as far as content. That visual impact is very important.
Well, I'm just going to say this on a final way out, and then we're going to talk about Brian's comment for a second and get into what Josh sent us. Real quick, everyone gets it wrong about what I stand for. I just stand for a standard. Counting a cover is the easiest. Given the God power and being able to decide for the land, I would actually count story only. Honestly, that's how I would count the comic. My comic is 20 pages of pure story. My comic, but that's not really. Then people are going to be like, wait, what about the cover? It confuses people. You're never going to get it over that easy. But if I could be God and change everyone's mind overnight, I would go with pure story. Brian says, I'd never pay someone to be on my shows, nor would I allow a guest to pay me off. Now, if they wanted to sponsor me or buy ads, that's different. Now, I'll say this about that. If you want to pay me off to be on the show, I am buyable. Oh, Amazon cards, any gift cards you can think
Brought
of.
to you by Amazon.
In a second, I'll wear your shirts. I will whore myself out, just for the record. I actually do have a PayPal for this, like where we're starting to chip a tip jar for a month now, and I never remember to bring it up. But ads, yes, we'll run ads. We'll get Josh to actually dress up as your mascot. Right, Josh?
So what am I doing?
For the right money. For the right money. And
I'll draw something for you, maybe.
Real quick before we go, to Amazon does not count my covers in their page counts. They will include covers in weight of book. No surprise. Actually, Amazon counts Marvel and DC books with the cover.
How heavy?
Check is that? Yeah. But now, if
How heavy are your covers, though?
I was gonna say, are you maybe hard covers? Because hard covers I could see not counting because of the extra weight. So that's an interesting. And is Rob crazy? That's another week of shows there too. He's just trying to get me to go back to an everyday schedule. That's all it is. And one last thing about this, and we're done. Carl Witzman. I don't know why I have trouble with your last name, Carl. I'm sorry. He gets to end it with, who would care how many pages they are? The only thing I think is that someone in the past sold them an 8-page comic for $20, and that happens at Comic Cons all the time, and I get it. So yeah,
all the free comic book days.
Can I add something to that real quick though, just before we go? I guarantee you there will be someone somewhere who will decide that, well, it's a countable page, therefore screw your cover rate. I need you to keep this moving at the same price that you do per page. I guarantee you that's what will happen. Someone will hire an artist and want to pay them cover rate, or pay them interior page rate for a cover. And then you're going to watch page rate soar.
Oh, those wannabe those wannabe creators out there call themselves rebels. They're in trouble. Go ahead. Josh is actually while you guys were all talking and giving us cool comments, Josh was able to slide me some great topic points. So I don't know what these are. So talk to me about this stuff. What do you got? What do we got going on?
Well, Rob, I went ahead and did a little bit of research because we figured, hey, indie news is affected by things that are happening in the major industry as well, from, little things, be it, certain publishers no longer distributing through certain comic book distributors and how they've adapted their business with what's going on, as well as Kickstarter successes that are also transferring over and double dipping into Indiegogo. We've talked about that a few times with different panels. Including, for example, Cat Dad and Supermom, and I think it's called Hybrids or whatever it's called. And then, of course, Last Patrol. So I went ahead and did some checking up on some things, and one of the more popular things that I found was Ben Bender's Bjorn the Littlest Viking. And I've got the links up here, of course. They're available up on the website. We might be able to pop over to a couple of these, but as this loads up, it takes I know Kickstarter was being a little glitchy earlier today, but Ben actually approached creating this comic book a little bit differently. He was originally an artist that was on the circuit with myself, and then between life and things like that, he just wasn't promoting the content that he wanted to create, and he took a quick break and he reset, and he had a couple of kids and possibly only one. I kind of ducked out. But he started doing Bjorn, and he slowly made it part of his Patreon. He made it this whole thing where it's like, hey, I'm just kind of doing this web comic and producing it. He pulled a little bit like this Bond Stepchick. And as you scroll down, one of the things that he did with this issue, yes, it is one issue at 24 pages, but he made it so that he could achieve. And he did some of the hardcover editions. He found a lot of larger named content artists that are in the fantasy worlds and things like that, in addition to some really, really great visual representation on like, hey, this is what you get. This is what's in the book. These are limited prints that you can only get through this Kickstarter. And it wasn't overdone. It wasn't like, hey, this is what we're promising automatically. It was like, hey, this is the stretch goal that I want to get. And it was a really fantastic layout. I was very impressed by it, and I can see why it did well. If you scroll a little bit further down, you'll see the other reason, in case you were like, hey, I'm not so sure. Ben has a very heavily influenced style that's based loosely on Calvin and Hobbes and early style art. As far as that, I mean, we have stuff as simple as the chickens. You got some nice little homage to D&D and Legend of Zelda. They've got a little bit of the wagon storyline and some of the Bill Watterson drawn after homages. It really plays into your level of nostalgia, as well as, hey, we're promoting this. This is my story, and I just want it to be something that's fun for everyone. And he's fully backed at this point. He had a very small goal originally. He's at $20,000. It's 2.7 thousand% over his goal. And he's now on Indiegogo right now for a little bit of a double dip situation here.
I think
that's got maybe a couple of weeks left.
It's done on.
No, his Indiegogo. That's what the second link is for that one. For his the secondary.
He makes a big mistake here. If you're going to double dip, you always want to put your double dip follow along right there. So if you tell him to put the Indiegogo actual link in there.
Yeah, for sure. He might have put it in and under his updates, as far as that's concerned. But it was really great. I applaud him for that.
Here it is.
I think unless this is Yep, there it is. Yep, he just started this up, so he's got like 12 days left. So he's not really promoting this one as much, but I think he did it just with the advice and suggestion from other people who don't like having Kickstarter. And I guess my only advice for indie comics is like, I don't care what your crowdfunding source is. If your audience is primarily in one location and some go, hey, I'm not over there, it takes maybe a couple more hours for you to go in and set up and deal and go with that other crowd source as well. But I just don't recommend doing them both simultaneously because you don't want to risk any of that issue.
Now, I will also, just as a heads up, just to those watching, he could have done this in a way which would have turned it into an in-demand, which would have been no time runs out, and it can run indefinitely as an online store. So
yeah, that could work.
What's that?
I said that definitely could work.
Yeah, and you just got to reach out to them. All you have to do is successfully fund a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo past the flexible goal. That's important with Indiegogo. So what else do you have for us today?
All right. Next up, we've had Travis on a couple of our shows between Indie Volt and whatnot. Travis Miller in The Last Patrol. Travis is actually one of those really awesome success stories. I met him originally on the road as well. He's worked as a writer, he's worked in graphic design, he's worked on everything else, and he went straight through Indiegogo after just being in the industry. He's worked with the Marvel people over at the comic conventions, between the publishers and the distributors. He's chatted, and he's made himself a kind of a small voice in the industry, but he's known enough. So when he came out, he plugged it. He came out straight and forward. What I like the most about this particular one is like, yes, you can see the art. Here's a taste of what's going on in the story. You have proof that they're not just trying to go, here, I'm trying to tell a war story without any form of reference. This is drawn from people who actually know what's going on, but it keeps it simple in the promotion as well. It's like, look, this is what we've already got done. This is what's going to come out. And it throws in the little bit of the superlatives at the beginning of it. So I was really impressed by that, and it easily got its backing in the very beginning of this project. And it only has about 7 days left. But I figured, hey, let's throw in one last plug if we could, because good guy, good content, and he's working on this bad boy.
Variant, isn't he on the show tonight, Indie Volt?
He is. Second time for Travis coming back.
He's getting that last week buzz. I didn't even know. I was just like, I'm just researching, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it was Eric, Dreaded Dinosaur, who told me to get Travis on. And again, one of those people who they come to the show, they're prepared, they sent me all of the reference material I will need to put on the show. That helps tremendously because if you got to go look for that content to put up, like hey, you're gonna be on my show tonight. Could you send me some stuff? And they link you to their Kickstarter or their Facebook. Yeah, just pull some pictures off of there. See ya.
Yeah.
Really? What?
Now, there is something else that Josh wants to bring up. However, I put it in the wrong spot. And
All good.
before we start, we're
Mainstream, is that where it was supposed to go?
We're switching from indie actual news. So that's the end of us having indie news, which is brought to you by our
News.
and it's now mainstream, which Varian's going to get me a much better. We were in the middle of the contest, and I was like, let's finish the contest, get her name, and then we'll make a new graphic next week. So next week, you'll see a new graphic. Me and Varian will work on it this week to get it over. Right, Varian?
Yep, that's correct.
But you can get to the IndieVolt site by clicking any one of these things. This actually gets you straight to the actual site. And the name itself gets you to, I believe, their Facebook group. But all these are live to get you straight to the actual site, which is a site we're going to look at in a few minutes. But we're going to go ahead and start. Tell us about this, Josh. What do we got going on with DC?
Well, with DC Comics earlier today, or rather late last evening, DC announced that they are going to be producing their own previews series. It's going to be called DC Connect. And it's going to let you know as far as if you're a comic book retailer or if you're a distributor of any kind, or even just, the layman, you'll be able to access that through their online forum. And this will, of course, connect with DC Online as it continues to develop for their archive of comic books as well, with a little bit of a delay. But contrary to previews, it's right now, at least, it's free. It's going to let you know, hey, in advance, it's a print PDF. It lets you know. And as it stands, it's no longer part of the Diamond Distribution Previews book. Like, it's going to be their own content and their own distributor. For a long time, with Diamond Distribution, you've had a very large book that advertises independent comic books, DC Comics, third tier and minor tier top sellers as far as that's concerned, and a lot of merch. And then Marvel's had its own book. Well, I guess DC either is finally given up on that, or they're just like, hey, we're adapting this whole, we weren't able to distribute our books during this. This is what we want to try and get people to promote and get early without having to worry about sorting through another piece of just material. So they have more information coming out in the next week or so as far as that's concerned, but that's available through dccomics.com. You can just find it at DC Connect, and they're the PDFs right there, easy click download, and you can see what's coming up in the next month or so.
Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Marvel doing like a Marvel previews book without the distribution themselves? Didn't they have like a little side book that just had this Marvel stuff in there, or was that like?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was part of the Diamond book. Like when you bought the previews, previews issue, you got the small one for free.
Okay, I never paid for a previews issue. My comics always gave me.
I used to use them as they were a fantastic reference.
Yeah.
For brand new artists, seeing what's coming out and seeing what you need. See if you want to actually read a title. You could see what books they were really plugging with the amount of, hey, is this going to have a variant or not?
It helped because
I always waited till there were outdated copies, and you can get them for like $1.
Yep. I mean, they're like $2.99, so it was one of those things.
My comic store, 2 different comic stores used to give them to me all the time. I just asked, hey, you got a previews book? Yeah, take it. They were happy to get rid of it. Until one guy said, Varian, you like these books? I'm like, yeah. He says, here. He had like 7 boxes in the back, like nice size U-Haul boxes full of previews. And I still have them.
I'm surprised they haven't been turned into coasters.
They have most. That's what's happening.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's actually what they're perfect for if you want to do decoupage.
Yeah, and
after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and you're right. That's what's been happening to them lately. And I felt it was a little bit more ethical than printing out the artwork. It was okay. I'm just taking these already printed Diamond images, and Diamond's already screwed the artist over once. So hey, we'll just piggyback. But then it made the closest one at a time.
But yeah, that was announced earlier last evening. So will be interesting to see if Marvel decides that they also want to go digital permanently with their previews edition and make it a content thing on their website or not.
We'll have to follow that along and see what happens next. Did you guys hear about the war on the comics gate? Oh, we missed one other thing in the conversations. I do want to bring it up. We'll go around the room quickly. For those who don't know, it's okay you don't know, but this is something going around. Don't shame someone because they had a porn career earlier in their life. I don't think it's cool. You can make jokes, yes, but they should be tasteful, and you should not judge a person because at one point in their career they decided to do a pornographic thing. Remember, a lot of women have now posed naked. It's a startling number of the amount of younger women who have actually done naked pictures and all that. We've become a society that's no longer PG-13. As a matter of fact, I'm making something new in the background. I'm going to show you as these shows are now going to be rated as. What do you guys think? Is it okay to bash someone for doing a porn if they're a comic book creator? We'll go Josh, Meredith, Varian, and Demon Fell. Let's just keep it short.
No, not at all. I mean, we all have jobs and we all got to pay bills, and some people are just smarter and willing to take a lot more, pun intended, in order to pay those bills off faster.
There it is.
I don't think that there's any problem with it as long as they are of age and consensual. I don't have a problem with it at all. To each their own.
Oh boy, Varian.
No, there's no problem with it. Absolutely, no. Actually, there's no problem with it whatsoever. I just say, don't get upset when it gets discovered.
What's the problem, Pastor Grant? I can't hear you. Speak up.
Yeah, when it gets discovered, when they find the video, of you playing perfection, don't say anything. When you're trying to fit those pegs in that hole, and it can't.
Couldn't take the high road, huh? Couldn't take the high road. Even Phil.
Hey, what I do on my time off is my business. No, I'm sorry. No, there's no problem at all. As far as I'm concerned, like everyone said, you've got to have some form of getting money, whatever, as long as it's not, you don't make it the focal point. Like if you're going to say, this was the reason that I'm selling this book is because of my past career. No, that's not cool to me.
Now, let me ask you then, does a current career change that? If you're currently making pornographic stuff, does that change or should it change? I don't think so. I mean, again, you do you, as long as you're not doing something illegal, what am I going to judge? I mean, remember, there are actresses out there basically fucking on camera for major motion picture movies, and that's why they're brought in, but no one's calling them a porn actress, but sometimes they are. I mean, remember, what's her name? Never had sex on camera. Carmen? No. She did The Mask. Someone help me out.
Not Carmen Electra?
Cameron Diaz?
Yes.
Cameron Diaz, yes. She had a BDSM porn earlier in her career. It has haunted her whole life, and I thought that was bullshit it did. I don't think you should judge. I mean, we all grow. We all do different things. Maybe I'm different. Does a porn career currently affect you looking at them, Josh?
No, I think it just really comes down to what Varian was saying is like if you're trying to hide it, then there's nothing you can do as far as that's concerned. You can just accept it, take your licks, and see if you can turn it into a positive situation. We had something that occurred 3 or 4 years ago, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, where somebody was hanging out with somebody in the porn industry in a professional / intimate manner, and that became a whole big thing for the next 4 years of comedy. And it's like, whatever. I honestly don't care. It just, I don't know. I feel like if you're pulling a Barbarella, Stripperella, then steer into the curve, But if you're trying to do like a kid's book, it might be a little different, You have like a David Attenborough kind of situation. You might have to change your name as far as the kids writer.
Yeah. Oh, do I know, Josh? Oh, do I know, Meredith?
No, seriously, I agree with Josh. If it's something that you are ashamed of doing and then you're trying to hide it, then it's just going to have that much more of an impact for that person when they are discovered. Whereas if you're like, I did it. So, and you just say, what else you got? Then it's not so much of an impact, and I think it's their perception versus other people. And again, it is that thing, where if you are creating comic books and stuff like that, it's just another creative outlet. But I do agree that if you're trying to do a children's book and stuff like that, and you already have that persona and stuff, it might be a good idea to have a pseudonym.
All right, before Variant talks, we'll just put up our brand new made for both Meredith's mouth and for Variant's comments. This show uses Deadpool rules, so prepare for crazy shit. Go ahead, Variant.
Well, okay, look, if you're currently involved in the adult entertainment industry, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But if you're gonna, and you don't have, you are under no, there's no rule that says you have to come into comics and say, hey guys, listen, I may have done an adult film. You don't have to. However, know that if you are if you made enemies and someone happens upon said film, they're probably going to release it, or they're probably going to make it known. They're going to, share the links all over the web and whatnot. And then, you just have to take your licks. And then, like Meredith said, yes, this happened. I was in a adult film. Okay.
Stop beating the horse. I know you're just stalling for a smart ass comment.
My thing is
make some joke, and
no, I don't. I just don't.
He did say take your licks.
Yeah. I just don't like how it was. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm calling the police because you're making fun of me online about my, pornographic cuck films. I don't understand that. But at the same time, don't be ashamed of it. You did it. You weren't ashamed of it when you did it.
Yeah, I think that if you own it, if it comes out and you own it, like someone had said something to me today about someone drawing dildos on my face because of war campaign, because there was someone going around trying to cause trouble with me about trying to do a show we're doing this weekend on Sunday. We're going to try to get people who identify as COMiXgate to sit down with people who identify with the far left. And we're going to try to get to see if we can find some common ground and have some adult conversation. So someone's been trying to basically get like COMiXgaters to hate me. And someone had said, well, if they draw, a dildo on your forehead, I just don't think you're going to get upset. I'm like, no, because I'm going to talk about the type of dildo they used and really get involved in it. Like, why would you use that one? That's not contoured for her. That's not my style. I'm all about contoured for her. So depending on how you're picked on, Variant's right. Like if someone found a porn from earlier in my career, I'd get popcorn and be like, all right, tell me what I did wrong. How can I do this better in the future? Please don't be shy. Full critiques. Did I need the Brazilian wax? Is it? I don't see back there. You tell me. Was it that bad?
And let's be honest. Let's be honest here for a second, Rob. The films from your career very early on, they're not so much films as they're gifts because they're very quick and they loop. And I'm in
and out, man. I'm like a Navy SEAL. In and out. Yeah, they just set records, baby. I'm like a sprint runner. They call mine speed porn.
Listen, it's like Bernie Mac said, was it a round of boxing? It's 4 minutes. People got knocked out in less time than that. So just get it done. It's just
if you put it in slow motion, my porn's still less than a minute. Even still. He's like, nope. He's like, I want nothing to do with this talk.
See, now I know why Vin Diesel was so pissed off at you, because Fast and the Furious was already taken and yours.
All right. Enough about our porn careers. Let's get serious. Let's talk about this COMiXgate thing. So did you guys hear about this war on COMiXgate?
No.
I'm sorry, the what?
The war on COMiXgate, how someone's been trying to trademark the name COMiXgate.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know it's not Preston Poulter?
Well, I knew Vox Day was going to try it at some point, but I had no idea about the third guy.
There's a third guy. That's right. There's a guy who apparently has gone as far as to actually, and it's not COMiXgate, it's COMiXgate Comics, which is now the new big trademark thing. So we've now seen 3 people trying to own something. So here's the question I have for you guys. Do you think that if someone actually manages to trademark this, is anyone going to give a shit or even listen to the trademark? Because I have never seen anyone who identified as COMiXgate actually put COMiXgate on their cover or in any of their reading materials. Do you guys think this is going to matter? And I'm just going to close this because we're on bleeding ads, and that means that my computer slows down.
I've seen it.
What's that?
I've seen it on one comic. I think it says COMiXgate. I'm pretty sure it says COMiXgate on the back of door kickers.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the only comic I've seen it a logo that says COMiXgate on it. That I've actually held. I don't own that book, but I've seen it. So yeah.
So does it matter, Josh, that someone's trying to trademark these things that no one's really, they identify with it, but they don't try to put it on their books?
I would be curious to see the context of the people that are trying to book it. Just from I don't know. I'm trying to picture the context, because for some reason I'm just flashing back to the days when we had .coms and suddenly everybody was buying Coke and Coca-Cola.com and so on and so forth, and waiting and then selling it for whatever money they have. So this could just be a financial thing where they're just going, hey, I can, so I'm going to. And then who knows, they might want to buy this and create a brand. My suspicion is that COMiXgate will rebrand themselves in the next year to 2 years and call themselves something like I don't know, like Valhalla or something like that. They'll purposely allude to the COMiXgate concept, but at the same time they'll rebrand and then of course offer people to purchase from that perspective. But in short, I don't think it really matters. I think it's just filler content. It's kind of like people going, oh my God, how come Harley Quinn doesn't get issue 100?
Word in the back alley, because that's where independent creators hang out, is that Ethan has left the promoting of COMiXgate from this point on his last video, has announced that he is all about Team Ethan from now on. He still loves everyone from COMiXgate, but he's heading his own way out to pasture to then promote himself. Could this be the end of COMiXgate as we know it? Tune in next week.
Done?
What?
Is his Hyper Tog or Cyber Frog or whatever have you, is it already finished?
Oh, yeah.
Sent out to everybody?
He's in demand. Right? Very in demand right now, in demand.
Because I remember there was some drama about poker chips.
He's the Cyberfrog Wreck Planet is in demand. The coins, the ribbit coin, he actually refunded all of that.
Oh, good. So I'm concerned, and more power to him. I'll see him in 30 years when he comes out with Cyberfrog number 2.
Well, no, Wreck Planet is number 2. I think after this he's going into Rainbow Brute and then Cyberfrog 3 after that. His thing is one comic a year. I think that's his state. That's his.
I think that's a good estimate. I've got people who were working for Dynamite. They were putting out a book maybe once every 3 years, and there were 3 people working on it. Do Dynamite variants every single month, not to mention exclusives for them as far as originals are concerned. So it's a one-man army, I don't know. I've mentioned a couple of times before that unfortunately it really comes down to is the people who remember us and what they remember us for. If we remember only the controversy and not the content of the story, then what's the point? But I don't know. It's a little too existential for the comment. I think if he's saying bye-bye, it may wither without having the flag post or the bonfire on the top of the hill. But at the same time, there are going to be still people that are going to try and start mini fires similar to it.
All right, we can't do this week's show without talking about Diamond's return, unless anyone else wanted to talk about that. If you got to sneak out, Varian, go do your thing. We'll see when you get right back. Varian will be off for this question, but we're talking about unless anyone else had anything to say about that last topic. If not, we can move on. Meredith, Phil.
No.
Okay. This is something new. This is the and I refuse to put this on my site. and I'm going to ask you guys what you think of it. Diamond is trying to basically kiss ass and get back into people's graces because they know they done fucked up. No way around it. They know they done fucked up with everything they did. So they come out with this stamp. To me, this is a slap in the face because it is COMiX code all over again. They're
it's literally that logo.
Yes, they're using a logo that goes back to gatekeeping. And this is like their sign to everyone, well, the gatekeepers are back on duty. And I see all these comic book creators going, oh my God, Diamond's back. Oh my God, our life is better again. Oh my God. What do you guys think? Is Diamond even relevant enough to call themselves having a comeback? Like, what makes this a comeback? They stopped doing work. You didn't come back. You started doing your job again. That's not a comeback. And what do you guys think of the logo? Josh?
I think that the logo needs some work. The hashtag is interesting, back the comeback, because it sells, but at the same time, it doesn't let me think previews or Diamond. Like it's trying to, play on the, hey guys, you want to support us because we were supporting you all these years, without considering all the negativity and the things that occurred prior. I don't know. I think, well, let me put it this way. I don't think Diamond's going to have an issue with producing or distributing because they have so much merchandise related clientele these days versus comic books. So they focus on the higher retail sell volume. But that's just my 2 cents on it.
All right, Meredith.
I don't really know enough about the history of Diamond or anything. I do have an opinion about the logo, though. I mean, to me, visually, it looks like a stamp. It's like, okay, they're putting their stamp on something. They're trying to make a statement on something. I personally don't know what it is. I personally don't care. I mean, how are they in my lifetime? Like, they're not. So I don't really give a fuck.
Ooh. Pick me.
Varian. Varian, wait 1 second. Just gotta. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Varian.
Okay, all right. So you mean to tell me that Diamond? Put that logo back up there, Rob.
Warning.
You mean to tell me that Diamond decided to use the logo of the COMiX Code Authority, the same COMiX Code Authority that damn near destroyed the industry for years, and they decided to co-opt this logo, turn it yellow, you cowards. That's the color of cowardice, by the way. And you decided to use the color yellow and say, back the comeback. And when I hear about comebacks, I know I think about, I think about getting bent over until there's cum on my back. That's what I think about.
Oh boy.
I tried.
Nut on my spine.
Wow, you better watch Rocky.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back, Varian. Don't hold back.
You need to watch some Rocky, some Creed, my friend. All right, Steven Phil.
I'm curious to see which of their employees are coming back after being let go during this.
All the prisoners that are packing their boxes, I heard, are coming back.
They released them out the prisons. They ain't got a workforce. They got to get whole new criminals.
Oh, come on. They've got new ones already.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they're in Olive Branch, Missouri? Minnesota?
Yeah,
whatever?
Please. They walked out and went right back in.
Yeah. It depends on how large the black population is there. I'm pretty sure
they steal the warden's car, right? When they got released. They're right back. Demon Phil, now that we're going to get hate mail for not admitting that people can rehabilitate out of prison, what are your thoughts on the gatekeeping that is Diamond?
From a fan standpoint on this one, because I don't have other affiliations that have dug in that deep, I'm actually selling most all of my big two stuff that I've ever had in my collections because they rubbed me wrong that way whenever all hell broke loose outside, and they basically said, pencils down, we're not doing a thing. And then the other slap that was, hey, we're not going to refund the money that you've already spent up on this as well. And no communication in front of that. So it was basically like, okay, all these LCSs, there are some that can survive and some that aren't. And we feel bad for those that aren't. And we appreciate your money from the past, but we're not going to do anything to help you out now. I have seen more of a pull in the indie conglomerate that's out here and everybody working together in independence, more so than the big two have ever made an impression on me at all. And this whole circumstances and everything that's going on outside have more than proven that is a major issue, that whenever you go ahead and put your faith in the big two just simply because they're the big two and you're required to do so, or your stores will shut down, inevitably because of this. No, it just means you don't have enough of the indie books in there. As far as I'm concerned, they need to fill those stores up with indie books and have the big two towards the back of the store. That's my take on that.
Now, we do have a representative from Diamond ready to come in from the video chat. And our first question to them is going to be, did you guys pay all the bills for all the different people you owed money to? Let's go over to their feed. I
was like, wow, this will be entertaining. I was ready for it.
We talked about them paying their bill. It checks in the mail, huh, Diamond? All right, let's move on, Jordan. Now, this show's been brought to you by Diamond.
I had all type of venoms ready to go. I
diamonds.
Put my drink down.
Gary was like, bring them in. I got so many questions. All right, so we're going to move on from Diamond that made some news this week, and we're going to check out. So Street Fighter Swimsuit Edition. Just when you thought it was 2020 and we were going to take female characters seriously, there goes our friends over at Street Fighter to prove that sexism and sexual cheesecake covers are alive and well, as they use even BDSM to promote their comic books.
Remind me again what company produces that?
Yeah,
remind me where Udon's based.
Japan.
Yeah, remind me what Japan's cultural and social norms are when it comes to actual animation and drawing and things like that.
To be honest with you, I cannot 100% tell you, because they were supposed to be shifting this year. There was a big move to be more respectful.
So Udon, as far as American distribution and publication, has pretty much only made their money on tribute books, as far as that's concerned. Like, their books themselves for the comic content don't really move. So when they do a swimsuit special, they can make a swimsuit hardcover. They can do their Mega Man bio, whatever have you. They can do their Voltron tribute. They can do all that. The Darksiders, I think, is the only exception to the rule. And let's be honest, it's Joe Mad, so it's going to have its own very sexualized and stereotypical stuff, despite being in the 2000s. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like, once again, this is one of those situations where it's like, to each their own. I just bought like 4 swimsuit specials from them the first time they did it. I think it was 2010 or 2015.
And I put this up just because they were showing a video and I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Yeah, I just bought like 5 of the blanks because I know I have a clientele that'll eventually want me to draw a Street Fighter. So
now, what do you guys think of that? Seriously, Josh doesn't seem to care. Meredith, do you care that they're still over-sexualizing? Because these are characters that are now mainstream. Girls are dressing up as it. Obviously, and to be fair, Sports Illustrated's only issue that it sells now is the swimsuit issue. The rest of the year, they don't sell anything. They sell 1 issue a year, and it's the swimsuit issue. And I have no problem with sexuality. Let me put that out there. I do have a little bit of a problem with you trying to have a cash grab. But like Josh said, this is from a different culture. So I did want to talk about it because it's such an interesting topic right now. This is a group that has always sexualized their female characters. There was a comment that in the Japanese culture, they were going to try to do better last year with the things they were doing. So they were pushing like underage characters to have sex in comics. And there was going to be this whole redoing. At least what was going to be the American market was going to see a much more mature content. Mature and not the way that you think. Mature like it was going to grow up a bit, not mature like sexual. Do you guys think that what do you guys think? This is making news. Do you think this is the wrong time, or do you think the fans will be fans and they like boobies? We'll start with Meredith.
I think fans are going to be fans, and they like boobs. They like sex. Sex sells, And if you're thinking about it, it's probably a cultural thing too. I mean, United States is a little bit more purist when it comes to their feelings about sex. Whereas in Europe and Asian cultures, it's not that big a deal. I just want to, it blows my mind that they're called udon because that means noodle, like literally noodle, and so I'm just like, what is that? What does that mean? So just trying to put that together. I don't want my mind to go there. I'm just, but I don't think that I mind it, and only because, I don't know. We're just inundated with it. You see it on the swimsuit covers. And a lot of times the Sports Illustrated, their bathing suits are a lot smaller than what you might see in Playboy magazine or, any of those other, spicy magazines or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's perception and then branding. And it's just out there. And now if they can keep it to, girls that are not underage, please, there's to me, I know that's a whole other conversation as far as sexualizing the younger females and things and kind of grooming them for the sex field or, whatever it is. And that goes into exploitation and all that stuff and abuse. But comic books, I don't know. I mean, I'm torn. I could be convinced either way that it's either too sexualized or
Aiden, open the door for your mother.
Or it's okay. But see, like as a female, I personally am not offended by it because I've never been held back because I have boobs. You know what I mean? I've never been looked at. If anything, I've been looked at more as like one of the guys. I can hang out. I'm a pal. So.
All right, Varian, you ready or you need a minute?
I guess I was yelling at my son to open the door for his mother. Yeah, if you got some handle the dogs. That one picture, could you put that back up, Rob?
Yeah, I don't want to know what you're doing. I can't see you.
Because that's not Poison. Poison's secondary character.
I think that's Poison.
It isn't. It's Poison's secondary character.
Is it? I would say if that's Poison,
Poison's gotten a lot thicker during the last 2 years.
If that's Poison, this is ahead of the curve. They can't hate it.
Let's find out for sure. Let's see. 2020 Street Fighter. I sent a link with all the announced covers, including the male ones just now.
If that's Poison, the reason why me and Josh are having this conversation, if you don't know, Poison is a man.
Yep.
A transgender. And so if that's Poison, what are you gonna do? You can come out and say the sexualizing Poison. Can't do that now. I'm all for these covers though. I like them. I think the art looks nice.
No, it looks like you're right. I apologize. They thinned her down again.
Yeah, so it's
the new Street Fighter game. They announced a new character that was like the handcuffs were like part of the team up attack.
Okay.
My apologies. That is supposed to be Poison.
So I mean,
a transgender character.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, on the haters, nah. It's equal representation, and I think these covers are gorgeous. That reminds me of Mike Turner cover, which you know how I feel about Mike Turner. So
it might be an homage on purpose.
Yeah.
I know Poison's on this other one by Genzo Man here. See, that's the things. I thought that this was the other character on here, the secondary.
I can call up a different one quickly before another video starts to play. This one over the dual one?
Yeah, the dual one down at the bottom.
All right.
I don't think that's the same thing unless mine loads all black and yours doesn't.
Here we go. It's just because of the ads, it tries to block. So which one are we talking about, Josh?
It's the one that's the Genzo Man art that has Poison playing volleyball.
I don't have that one.
I just sent you the link in the private.
Oh, in the private? Okay, give me 1 second. We'll get over there. What do you think?
Has the male photos as well.
I'm kind of stuck on where we were talking about, is it okay to be in the porn industry and be doing your books and everything? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of like, okay, why is it not okay to go ahead and have this out there? If it sells, if it does okay like that, it's not like they're completely topless and, and it's 3D and, poking people's eyes out type thing, because there's enough of that going around as well. It's actually done pretty well. And I think it's more of the homage to Michael Turner. It looks like that to me, at least. So I like that. And that's a big deal to me as well, because Michael Turner was just, Michael Turner. We're just leave that right there. But I like the art. I like the way it looks and everything, and I like the way it looks like a Sports Illustrated swimsuit. It just has that different look to it. It catches my eye. I mean, it would be something that would definitely move off the shelves. So, in my opinion, they did a good job on figuring something out that would actually move off the shelves.
All right, Josh, I can't get anything. It's the same link you had, but I'm not getting what you're talking about.
Down at the
All
bottom,
I got is
you got the guy with the beard and the thong right next to it. It says Street Fighter Special 2020 issue.
No. I don't have that. You gave me a Bleeding Cool link, right?
It's the one here in the private chat, not directly to you.
Yeah.
It says Conra.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes me for some reason to Bleeding Cool. Let me see. Maybe I did something wrong in the copy and paste. That would not be the first time.
Yeah, because it's not bringing the Bleeding Cool on this one.
All right. Yeah, I got it. Finally loaded. Here we go.
Because this is what I'm talking about. If you scroll down, Poison has a new character that tag teams with her, which has not been confirmed yet as far as like one or the other. But yeah, down here next to that last row, those last four, see, equal representation.
All right, so we have, here's the volleyball one you were talking about. Now, one of these characters is transgender.
Yes.
And he's a dude. So this is the interiors. These aren't the covers.
These are supposed to be covers. Nope, sorry. Nope, these are the interiors. Yeah, these are interior art pieces that go along into the book.
Okay, so this would be the inside, not the covers. Do you think they're going to get
Groom Ryu and the Standard Bride are online exclusives?
Now, do you think they're going to get any shit for using exactly like the swimsuit issue that Sports Illustrated does, the font? Do you think they're going to raise any hell about that?
I mean, it kind of looks like Arial Black.
Because this looks different. All their font here looks different.
Impact looks a lot like Impact.
But when you go over here to the Ryu one, that looks the online ones look real close to the real world swim issue from Sports Illustrated. So they're throwing some shade, I think. All right, I think we spent enough time on a swimsuit.
Yeah. I was gonna say I will leave it at this though. If you compare this to previous issues of Udon, this is incredibly tame, especially if you consider like Frank Cho's Cammy or some of the ones that were much more emphatic on certain parts of the anatomy.
Yeah,
I actually think the art is beautiful.
It is, and I'll be honest. I loved Marvel's early swimsuit issues. They were some of my famous stuff, and again, they sexualized their male characters as much as they did their females. And that's still to this date one of my favorite things. All right, IDW announces new layoffs. Oh man, they're not bringing back their furloughed creative staff. But then also, I didn't even know this was a thing. Transformers and the Terminator are a thing now.
Oh yeah,
robots in disguise.
How does that? My goodness, who's the daddy?
So I know one of the most popular covers on there is actually Monty Michael Moore did one.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Look at that. I mean, I need to have this now. I'm a huge Transformers fan. I actually have a giant I joke at conventions. I'm like, hey, do you want to see the giant lizard in my pants? And I have literally a Grimlock tattoo on it. I'll see if I can actually show you guys. So I have a giant, a lot of people don't realize this about me because it's not easily shown because I wear shorts, but I'll see if I can get my leg high enough up. I actually have Grimlock across my entire upper thigh, the outer side. And you don't generally see that because shorts, as a guy, you don't show up. You know, you wear bikini briefs out in public and everyone looks at you all funny. You're just a target. I wanted to show my tattoo off, all right? Very Terminator, man. How cool is that?
That is pretty cool. I'm all for seeing Terminator in more comics, especially since I still own the Terminator RoboCop's comic series. So seeing them with the Transformers is pretty cool.
And I love the fact that their art style is just like the 1980s version of the comic book.
They might have hired them.
Maybe, but it's so cool because it takes me back to my childhood. And look, they're even painting things the wrong color, just like they did back in the day.
Maybe that's their purposeful homage. Maybe this is a Star Trek meets Green Lantern Corps all over again.
Oh, ooh. All right, so this is brought to us by the cyber. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I just saying fight me.
Oh, this is brought to us by SiberianTron.com. I have followed this site for years. They show all the cool exclusives coming out. So just some fun news. Not everything's got to be that serious. For you guys who didn't know, did you guys know that they're giving away the origin of one of the 3 Jokers as part of the Walmart $5.99s?
Yep.
Varian, did you know about this?
Oh, I didn't know that at all. Huh? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so the big reveal has gone to Walmart. I guess DC got a little territorial when they found out some other comic companies are getting in there. And again, bleeding cool. You can never get it to load right because their ads load first. So, and you can see they're doing the comedian thing. This is a little bit of spoilers. If you want to read more about it, you can definitely read more about it. We won't go more into that. The question I wanted to ask you guys, not only is this hard to find now, but they've given it to Marvel. What do you guys? I mean, Walmart. What do you guys think about that? Is that dangerous to start giving these big exclusive moments to Walmarts? Josh, is that a problem not to give it to the comic book shops? Is this excluding the comic book shops?
I think the comic book shops are going to be less inclined in the current climate to buy something that's more niche. They're going to try and focus on trying to rebuild their audience with more generic titles. Fair.
What do you think, Meredith?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why are they not embracing the smaller comic book shops? You know, I mean, if they were at all about community and building that up and helping their fellow man, why not go for the smaller comic shops? So I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed with hearing that.
Varian, what about the comic book shops? How'd they get left out on this one? I thought DC was going to be giving it to the comic book shops now, and suddenly this comes out it's not.
I think that you're just seeing DC got desperate, and they got us. And also remember, DC now has they're on AT&T's chopping block. AT&T is looking for any reason to get rid of DC, and they have to stay profitable. So they got to get creative real quick.
Really? AT&T's trying to dump them?
Oh yeah. So that's why the Snyder Cut is coming out, because AT&T is like, hey, we need something. What do you got, DC? And wait, we'll do anything.
We'll suck your dick if you keep us.
Yeah. They are willing to try stuff they would have thumbed their nose at before, and hopefully the readers are going to benefit from that. I feel bad for the stores though, because I know some store owners, I won't say names, who ran out to Walmart and they bought all the spectaculars. Local store here did it here in Michigan. He ran out and he had his, I don't want to say his hired goons, but he had his folks go out there, his buyers, and buy up as many as they could and take him back to his store, and he sold them there because he's like, why am I left out on this? Yeah. So I think DC is trying to find their fortunes outside of the comic.
Chase variants or blank covers exclusively with one distributor, because then they'll just end up in the wash bin, the clearance aisle of random stuff with the DVDs, the $5 DVDs, and you'll be like, dang it, I could have read this, but it's all mangled to crap.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Phil, what do you think? Big mistake not involving the local mom and pops on this?
Look at the timing. They waited to see what was going to happen whenever other comics were put into Walmart, and see the rush to go out there to get them and being sold out in most every Walmart they were put into. And they said, you know what, we want part of that money. So it is part of, they are very desperate right now because they are on the chopping block. A lot of people don't understand how close they are to actually getting the complete axe on this. And with the current situation and everything happening, it was the worst possible timing for them because they were already discussing it prior to. This actually is kind of pushing it over the edge just a little bit more. But as far as the comic is concerned, no, that should have always been put in the LCSs to go ahead and show that unification that you're working with the LCS. They've just gone ahead and solidified that, saying they're all about the money.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. we're going to get on to our last topic from mainstream, and this broke on Indie Vault last week as it had just happened. I forgot what program this was, Varian, but you had broken that Ruby Rose had left the series.
Yeah. She left. Was shown the door. There's no all signs point to her being shown the door.
Well, no, actually, Varian, it's reversed. This broke today in Vanity Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out she didn't like she was unhappy with the long hours required for the series lead. Here, I'll blow it up for you guys. Apparently, she had been having fights with the staff, the rumor goes. So here it is. According to multiple sources, Rose was unhappy with the long hours required of her as the series lead, which led to friction on the set. It was thus decided by her and the network studio, Warner Brothers Television, they would part ways. So for those who don't know, a lot of those Arrowverse, they're still calling it Arrowverse, even though Arrow's now officially gone, as far as I know. I'm sure they're trying to redo it as the CW verse for Warner Brothers or whatever they're going to do. But either way, I don't know if you guys know this. They film a lot of late nights because of filming in Vancouver. They don't want to close streets, so they start filming at midnight. That also means that she can't fly. A lot of these actresses and stuff, they like to fly to Hollywood when they're in Vancouver to then try to do roles and stuff. So it's very hard when you're up till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, to then try to take a flight to get there and be tired. So, and I've heard other people complain about it. The Arrow creator, actor, had said that he was getting burnt out trying to do 2 things at once too. What do you guys think of that? Someone leaving because they do you think she really left because she was unhappy, or did both sides just honestly feel like it wasn't working? Because so far no CW show for DC Comics has been canceled.
I'll let someone else go first.
Josh, you got any comments on this?
No, I mean, honestly, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, like I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about the show. I watched 6 or 7 episodes. It was something that she was passionate about working on originally. She wasn't just somebody coming in, randomly. She liked the character and wanted to work on it. From my experience, I don't believe she does a lot of film. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but she hadn't been in film for quite some time. So it could be that. I don't know. I was looking forward to seeing how the story evolved. So we'll just have to adapt and see how things go.
The story's continuing. They are redoing the role, recasting the role, I should say. Demon Phil, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like smoke and mirrors almost with Vanity Fair, the way that they're putting that out there. It seems like, look in this hand, but don't dare look over here because we don't want you to see what's going on. Because the way that it happened as quickly as it did, it seemed more like they parted ways for other reasons. They just weren't wanting to talk about it. So why did it take this long to go ahead and say this is exactly what happened, and it was because of the timing and how late it was working there? That could have been said right at the very beginning, but that's just me looking at that way.
It does smell like creative differences. Exactly.
And as far as, she did a great job in the role. She was very passionate about what she did. She played it to the nth degree, as far as I'm concerned. She played the role, which was great. And to see her gone now, there's something else in the mix with that. And I don't know. And I think that they're trying to, again, shift how they're doing things to get their name out there with DC a lot more and a lot faster. They don't want to take the slow road. Just look at with the movies. They wanted to do what Marvel had done with the Marvel Universe, and DC was not able to accomplish that, and they're still trying. God bless their poor little pointed heads.
All right, Varian, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm a conspiracy theorist. Either she got canned, because I can't understand a world where, okay, I'm getting in fights. I'm the star of the show. I'm the marquee. I'm getting in fights with staff of the show. And you choose to let me walk rather than firing the staff. I'm a celebrity. I got all green Skittles. Okay, I get what I want. You get rid. You get rid of that hairdresser I don't like immediately.
Varian, she a celebrity? I think that's what it comes down to. I think maybe her celebrity's not as bright as she thought it was.
Over a grip? Over a grip? Over a hairdresser? I mean, over a stunt guy? But you got a point. You got a point. I think it was a collection of people she kept getting in arguments with. Talking about producers, she probably bit the hand that fed her. And I'm also thinking, she left. You see, they're trying to bring Bruce Wayne into that show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
She probably didn't like that. We all know that Ruby is a big supporter and a member of the LGBTQ community. She probably didn't like that because she probably felt, oh, so I'm going to start getting upstaged by Bruce Wayne now. He's going to be, no, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. I'll walk. And they were probably like, they may think, well, you know what? I hate this word, but you're problematic anyway. We can recast.
Good luck.
Yeah. Hit the door. And now she's been shown the door. And look, that statement she put out, I'm willing to bet she didn't write it. I think Warner Brothers wrote that. Her publicist approved it.
And that was
because the Warner Brothers statement is 2 sentences.
Yep. WWE goodbye. We good luck in your future endeavors.
Even future endeavor, goodbye. And it was horrible. It was horrible. Yep. And she, I mean, we'll know the truth in about 4 years. She'll come. She'll talk about it in about 4 years or something.
Or maybe not if she's famous.
I was like, she'll do the Aunt Liv.
Why
were you suddenly taking off the Fresh Prince show? Everyone else is doing great.
Real quick question. This is floated on the internet only. Do you think it comes back as Batwoman or comes back as Batgirl? Let's go around the room. Josh, Batwoman or Batgirl season for the next season?
Batgirl.
Meredith?
I think Batgirl.
Varian?
I'm thinking it's gonna come back if it doesn't come back as Batwoman, it's gonna come back as maybe like a completely different name, like Bat Family or something.
That would be cool. I'd be in for that. Demon Fell.
They're definitely building up to something else. You can see where it could possibly go into the story of Bruce Wayne coming out and having a different line of characters involved. So it could be it could be something that has something else, not even the Batman family. It could be something just called, not necessarily Gotham because they've already had that, but something along those lines that goes along with the issues that happen within there, and they can still keep it because they like getting political and in your face with some things on there, and they can keep doing that with a different story. Let's
just be honest. You all got hurt because the character came out as a lesbian, and you hated that she had a lesbian press conference.
I was just more upset that the question as a female character wasn't good.
I'll say it. I'll put it out there. I thought it was great acting. I thought they took shots. I think they had horrible writing. And as a writer, that always bothers me when the writing just so pandering, so campy that it's bullshit when it's such a dark property and you don't understand the Bat family. And they didn't understand her character. What they did to the dad was fucking criminal.
Well, when she came out and limited, and then now all her villains know they need to check 10% of the population to find out who she is.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, 10%. I mean, but then again, it's a CW show, so it's about 100% of the population. So,
everybody watched Stargirl yet? I know we're wrapping up.
I just wanted to say something about the Ruby Rose story here. Honestly, I don't trust mainstream media. I don't think we're ever going to get the true story. It could be that there was an NDA involved and that they're just putting a story out there just to give us an excuse why there was a change. I don't think that we're actually going to know.
All right, so we are going to switch gears now that Varian's gotten me tons of hate mail. Please send all hate mail, by the way, to Varian. Varian loves hate mail. And since Brian's been in the chat room causing trouble, send it to him, too. Send all that hate mail to where it belongs. Not to me or Josh. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Quick shout-outs to the different sites, of course. This is, let's get up our bean footage on the screen. Here we go. Any day now. My StreamYard's getting a little tired. It's been on too long. Eventually, that'll probably go up. There it goes. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, so this is Indie Volt. They've got Fantastic Con has been postponed. Let's be honest, it's been canceled till 2020. Sean Gordon Murphy pulls cover from Big Football. That's a little older. Yeah. And the Teenage Ninja Turtle returns to the franchise. But this Postal Service thing is still a big issue. Do you have an update for us, Varian?
You know what? I do have a bit of an update. I'll tell you this. I got 4 buddies of mine who've contacted me. They are upset. They've got packages out there that have not gotten to the backers. I had a package come from Minnesota. I'm in Michigan. It got to Michigan in 12 days from Minnesota. I mean, that's super slow, but whatever. But it got to my neighborhood post office and then decided it wanted to go to Baltimore. Made it to Baltimore in 6 hours. Don't know how it did that. Got to Baltimore and then turned around and came back. It was look, people are losing packages. That can be costly. That can be costly to some creators. I mean, you know, you put out a book that costs you a couple, you know, maybe, you know, I know some books cost, and especially you start adding those perks in. I got a campaign out there that I'm $200 locked in on. Imagine that package gets lost in the mail. I'm gonna be pissed. Creators are starting to feel the bite, and I've got 4 of them that I spoke to who are upset because their customers are upset, and the customers are demanding, refunds or hey, my product now. There's a couple of post offices you don't want to go through. Apparently, our Detroit regional terminal is one of them. I understand Jamaica, Queens, New York post office. That terminal is a dead zone right now.
Yep.
And there was one other one someone was telling me about that people can't even go pick their packages up. They're just it just says on hold.
I've been having some side issues with people I've been purchasing supplies from that have somehow started putting up on their websites. Suddenly now there's suddenly a lot of alerts and delays and things like that. I'm like, this would have been something like 2 months ago. What's going on? And the U.S. Postal Service, so when you go to their website, suddenly now has COVID alerts popping up on every single
Yep.
Going, oh, we're experiencing lots of delays because of this. And it's interesting when you consider certain acts that are currently under review, waiting to get approved, yay or nay, to provide them with their monies for the year, much like every 10 to 12 years. But yeah, I'm with you. It's annoying.
All right. We're normally at this point, we would try to check out our site, but I'm having a little bit of trouble with lagginess right now for our network. Let me see. I'll try one more time just to give a quick network shout out. I think it's just a bleeding cool nonsense. It always slows my computer down. In the future, I might try to avoid their site with news articles, and we might just leave the link and talk to you guys about it. Because it always, I don't know about you guys, but it always screws up my computer when I use it. All right, so here we go. This is our site. We're just going to give you a quick look for you guys to see it. We're not going to talk much about it because we're already over the time I want to be ending this show, but it gives me an idea this show might need to be 2 hours, depending on the panel size. But here's some Stalker episodes. Now, you guys can drop your stuff in this site. This is Comic Book Advocates Network on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. You guys can put stuff on. If you want this to go from this actual site, now remember, if you post in here, you give us the right to actually post it on our site. But we're only going to take things that are well-worded, well put out as press releases. If you do something like this where you're just dropping a YouTube link, that's not enough for us. And remember to vote for the Indie Volt character. I think Vicky is the name to go, Vicky Volt, but you guys can see some people doing some other stuff in here. We don't have a lot of time to talk about this. We'll get to it in the future. We had a lot of topics today. We checked out a lot of stuff. I want to thank my cast of panelists for being on the show today. So with that, I'm going to go around the room. Josh, tell them who you are.
Guys, my name is Josh C. Lyman. You can find me at Art of Josh Lyman via Instagram or, of course, on Facebook. And eventually you'll be able to see me at artofjoshlyman.com as well. I do live streams by weekly minimum as far as illustration is concerned, where I'm just sitting there drawing commissions or drawing whatever suits me. And you can find me here over on the Indie, network, as well as occasionally on Indie Vault.
All right. Demon Phil?
Hey, Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey. I can be found on Comics and More New Jersey on Facebook and on YouTube. Again, we are actually under 50 followers away from making that 1,000 milestone on YouTube, so I am all kinds of excited about that. And I've got a huge show planned up to go ahead and commemorate that, so we definitely need to hit that. I do interviews with creative team members within the comic industry and some without. A little hint of mystery on what's going to be coming up in future shows. And I also do book reviews and help out with the crowdfunding as far as doing marketing, promoting, and consulting. So a little bit of all different kinds of hats I wear.
All right. And your show starts next week on the network at 4 p.m. So stay tuned, guys. You'll be seeing content. We're going to go with Meredith, whose show airs 4 p.m. on Fridays. Talk to us, Meredith.
Hey, you guys, I'm Meredith Loughran. You can find me on meredithloughran.com. I know it's a really long name, but if you do a Google search, you'll be able to find me. I'm all over the place. So I am the comic noob, and I am sharing my story with the journey of knowing nothing into interviewing people, having panels, doing one-on-ones, and really doing my research and logging my journey from knowing nothing to creating the actual comic book. I'm giving myself 1 year. I'm also involved with the Geek Insider Network and Comic Book Advocates Network. And I want to talk to Varian about possibly being part of the Indie Vault Network. That would be great, if we could collaborate and share out our networks and stuff like that. So no pressure on you. But putting that out there, I also am a contributor and one of the executive editors for Wild One Forever, as well as producing a lot of the podcasts that you're going to see on geekinsider.com/podcast, which includes Brian K. Morris. And we're going to have The Devil's Due with Rob Anderson. That's going to be posted up on iHeartRadio as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on, but the landing spot for me is meredithloughran.com. I am the comic noob.
And Varian, who will be on this evening, with Indie Vault, tell us where they can find you.
Varian Grant on Facebook, but of course, KYD_V on Twitter. I'm on Indie Vault, indievault.com. We will be on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Indie Vault Live. I intend to be there. Lola, the return of Lola tonight too. She's preparing to be on the show. Neither one of us have gone down for Mr. Illness, so we should be there. Looking forward to have a talk tonight. We got Travis Miller coming back to the last day of his campaign, last patrol. Excited about tonight's show. We'll get into some questions. We got a lot of questions. One of them is a hot topic for Rob. Someone sent in some hate mail. He wants to address it.
Yeah, I'll kick his ass later. Yeah. So I'll see you all tonight on Indie Vault. And who am I? Well, that's a great question. But to do that, because I'm unprepared for this, we're going to have to switch our banners. So when you notice a brand change, just understand this is me being unprepared for my own show.
He's taking over.
Yeah. So here we go. It's going to see, like I said, it looks different. But it's because it's where I loaded the video that is for me. So here we go.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the devilish comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com.
And all right, guys, that's the show. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any hate mail for Varian, please send it to him. By all means, and if you have any suggestions on what you want this show to look like in the near future, we're open to hearing you and talking about you. One quick note, Kickstarter pause and the 7 reasons to back it are now together. And real quick, Meredith, what did you learn last week on your show?
I don't. There just a whole lot of information. You put me on the spot, Rob.
I thought you would remember because, like I said, I had some problems with my actual my silly little back. Everything unloaded and it crashed because thank you, bleeding ads, for that.
Well, last week on Comic Noob, I learned about pitching a story to an editor, and we had a great panel of people. And basically, the idea is never ever send an unsolicited copy to an editor. Don't do it.
All right, there we go. That'll work for it. You can see her quotes. Oh, here we go. Notably from pitching, I'm actually reading off my phone. Never pitch an unsolicited story because it's blatant disrespect for the editor's time. And before you pitch anything, you better know the who, what, and why. Thank you, Luke Stone. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Demon Phil. Thank you, Varian. And, of course, thank you, the watchers, the fans of comic books. You guys make this possible. And remember
to be kind and share.